Alright everybody, welcome into the Fritz Aquatic YouTube channel. We are at Shoreline Aquatics with Thomas, the Altum Angelfish Whisperer.
Welcome to our fish room. My fish were more compromised than I thought. I hit rock bottom and then I climbed back up through. I created 1,000 fish in 1 year, yeah. So I took those fish and I put 1,000 fish out there with that one pair. Wow, look how fired up those things are on the left. Hi, my name is Thomas Lyfouk, owner-operator of Shoreline Aquatics LLC, a very small business in the home, and I love to breed and care for wild Altum Angelfish. I've been working with Altum Angelfish for about 8 years now. I got my first tank-raised Altum Angelfish in 2017, and I started breeding them in 2019. They were kind of pushed on me by the seller, and I was trying to buy other angelfish, and they're like, oh, you should buy these tank-bred Altum Angelfish. They're from Germany. And I said, well, you know, I've heard those are very hard to care for. No, it's easy. Just give food and change the water. And I was like, okay, give me 5 of them. When I got those 5 fish, they were the best fish that I've ever had. And their energy and their personality, their vitality, how they grew so big so fast. And really all I did was just change the water and give food. Within about 1.5 years, they were big 10, 12-inch fish. Ever since then, I was hooked. So now this is what I love to do.
Okay, so as we go into this room, I know it's dark and I know it's kind of moody right here, but I just wanted to show you guys, this is how the room looks like to us. The fish tanks, they don't have a lot of light. They're light sensitive, I guess you can say, but I'm gonna boost up my camera settings and show you guys a better view. There, how about that? Now we can walk around the tanks.
This is a pair of Altum Angelfish collected from the Rio Negro in San Felipe. Interesting about this pair is out of the big group, these were very small fish that paired up. And I thought they were very interesting. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give them a chance.
So what do we have across from this pair?
So just another pair. This is a pair. The one that got attacked that's damaged on the bottom is actually the female. I know because they spawned a couple weeks back. And their offspring are down here.
How many did they have?
Not very many survived on that one.
Okay.
So that one, it's like maybe 40 or 50 fish in there. And I'm happy with that, you know, but it also could be depending on the pair itself. That's not the original male that was with her. So after that spawn, she destroyed her male. And at first I left them together and she kept attacking and attacking. Finally, I took that male out and I put two big fish in there. I wasn't sure they were males, but I just put the 2 biggest fish from the other tank in there.
Okay.
And over the next 3 or 4 days, she chose one of them. So that's it right now.
So what makes them do that? Do you know? What triggers them to
I have no idea.
Be so angry?
I have no idea. Some of the pairs are more stable than others. Some of the pairs, like the one over here, they're very, very good with each other.
Okay.
They never fight each other. And they're only dancing together and they just breed all the time. And some pairs, like they were good for a little while and then they're not. And there's some fish that you'll see in here, they're pairs, but they just fight all the time.
Okay, I mean,
and I'm waiting for them to like all of a sudden change their mind and be like, oh, it's time to breed.
Yeah.
Is it gonna happen? I don't know. So Altum Angelfish are from the Orinoco Basin. So the most southern point of capture is actually right now we know is in the Rio Negro. From there is a bifurcation. It's called the Casquiari Canal. So the Casquiari Canal connects the Orinoco River and the Rio Negro River. Technically, those rivers are connected all the way out the Amazon, all the way north to where the Orinoco flows out north out of Venezuela. So it was discovered that the Rio Negro populations were actually the most primitive. So there's been genetic studies done to show that that path of evolution actually started in the Negro and then went through the Casquiari up the upper alto parts of the Orinoco and then went north from there. Over time, all the different populations of the different tributaries coming into the Orinoco, Ventuari, Atabapo, Vichada, etc., going north, those are the populations that have evolved later. So that's why when you see different Altums here, even we talk about the different locations, well, people say, well, aren't these all Altums? And the answer is yes, they are all Altums, but they are slightly different because they've evolved millions of years apart. If you look at the way like these tanks are set up, they're all set up the exact same. And people would criticize this or that. They say, well, that's ugly. But everything in here serves a purpose.
Yes.
So when these fish are fighting each other, they tend to escape when they can get out of sight. So when they get out of sight, they can duck behind these filters.
Okay.
It's like they can duck
the
behind
plants
this,
right here.
Yep, and this flower pot is a sight break where fish can actually catch a break, and they can turn around and they can face off instead of just being chased and picked at over and over and over. So
it's all about line of sight with a lot of fishes. Anyway,
it is with these,
Every single tank is set up the same. You have your spawning pillar right here.
That's right.
Why did you choose a PVC straight pipe instead of like a terracotta cone?
Well,
or something
most
like
of the cones are too small.
Yeah.
Because when you see they lay eggs, that's a 15 and a half inch pipe. So you'll see eggs like, stretch like 10, 12 inches of that. So sometimes when there's eggs, there's over 1,000 eggs. And so most of the cones, when a cone is very short, and what happens is the eggs pile up on each other.
Right.
And another thing about the pipe is when I first started breeding Altums, the first few spawns were on walls, that's annoying sometimes. If you want to pull the eggs, you can't. And I realized when I did have a piece of white PVC in there, if there's a white PVC pipe in your tank with these fish, they will spawn on it every single time.
Really?
Every single time. So it's like, I'm never going to have a spawn on a wall or a filter pipe as long as it's black, right?
Yeah.
So, but that white pipe, they're going to spawn on it 100% of the time. And that just makes it easy for me. That way, if I want to pull the pipe out and artificially take care of them, I can.
So 1,000 eggs.
1,000.
How many is fertile?
It's not about fertile. Sometimes it's manipulating the water. Sometimes there's microbial problems in the water, so it's trying to get the right amount of meth blue in the water and stuff like that. But there's a lot of different issues. And when a lot of people would say like, oh, the fish weren't born because they were infertile, that's like kind of an easy way out. And that leads to saying like, well, I can't do anything else. They were infertile, right?
Yeah.
So I never look at eggs to be infertile. The only time egg would be infertile, when I see it, I've seen it where females laid eggs and the male didn't put sperm at all.
Yeah.
That's infertile. But other than that, I would say they're all fertile. And then I look at different reasons.
Yeah, so you just choose, you just go to the route of they're all alive. Let's take care of them as best as my ability.
That's right. And if I can dial everything the right way, they should be born.
Yeah.
Now, what's the difference between this pair right here, where I get 40 or 50 born, and when this pair? Oops, sorry.
Yeah, let's go take a look at that.
Yeah, it's coming over here.
Slowly.
Yep,
we've been going slowly to every tank.
Yeah, yeah. So these ones, they're going to be more active towards you. They're like, ooh, you want to mess with us? We just had babies recently.
These ones are a little bit more red. Am I tripping?
I think it's just more light, maybe.
Okay, more light, yeah.
Yeah. Well, people think Altum angelfish are sensitive fish, that they're not strong and they're sensitive and they're easy to die and they're not easy to care for. That's a myth. What's happening is people are buying animals that were wild caught. These wild caught animals, we don't know how they were held. Through the supply chain, they could have been compromised in many different ways, from how they were caught, how they were held, and through shipping. It will never be a strong fish after that. It's going to be a fish that needs very specific conditions to thrive. And anytime those conditions come off, it can fall down and lose its immunity again and be very susceptible to different types of bacterial infections that ultimately, I would say, almost impossible to fix sometimes. So what happens is, with a lot of the hobbyists that haven't worked with these fish before, they get the fish and they're like, oh, Altums are just like that. They like to hide, they're shy, they're paranoid. But what they don't realize is that they're not supposed to be like that. The fish are suffering, and eventually they're going to pass away and succumb to whatever is hurting them. So anyway, with this pair, when they bred, the very first time they bred, I got, 400 or 500 babies born out of that.
400 or 500
Yeah,
babies?
it just looked ridiculous. It was scary to see them all. Because,
it was scary to see them all.
You know why?
It's like a mom finding out triplets. Like, oh, what am I gonna do?
That's right. Because the thing is, with these fish, there's so many. I mean, they grow so fast. They need so much space. So let's just say 400 or 500 actually survive. We're in really, really big trouble. We don't have any space to even take care of those for 3 months here. So I think the ideal group for me is, 100 or 200 fish.
Right.
That's the best for me. So.
All right, so let's take a break from talking about the fish and talking about the setup, because, we're in your also laundry room.
Yeah, this was a garage, like attached garage to the house before, and we converted it into a bedroom.
Okay.
So before, my kids lived in the other half, and it was a fish room in this half, my kids live in the other half. Right now we're expanding. It's like I never really took money for them. I just bought more tanks, and I grew bigger and bigger and bigger.
Invested back into the business.
But at the same time, there was no infrastructure built. There's no autofills.
Yeah.
There's no auto drains.
Yeah, this is all individual.
That's right. That's right. So that's what's all going to change now.
Yeah.
What I'm going to change now, I'm going to redesign, rebuild, and at least move things around with the correct way that it makes it easier for me to operate. And hopefully I can get around. and go to fish shows, you know, around the country and do things
I'll see
like
you there.
that. Yeah, that would be cool. We could go hang out.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah,
Okay.
these are 90-gallon tanks. So 90-gallon it's the smallest tank that I've ever bred Altum Angelfish in.
Okay.
And
So it works.
it works. It does for repair.
All right, so water quality and everything. Tell us all about it. I know we're in Seattle. We have some of the best water in the country.
We do. 40, 50 TDS. And
right out of the tap.
People say your water's so soft. And then, yes, you see reverse osmosis.
Yeah. What is up with that?
So a lot of the ways that I manipulate the pH in the water is not chemically. There's certain ways that sometimes we use buffers and use chemicals, but the natural way that happens in nature is when the mineral content drops down so far, and then that kind of sends the rapid acidification of the tank. That's the more normal, natural way for these animals in the water that they live in nature. I've used reverse osmosis waters, particularly when for fish babies and when I'm trying to breed fish. I have to use that super low mineral content to manipulate the water to get the fish to feel excited to breed.
Okay.
They will breed in that water, and to manipulate the water to get the egg survival as well.
All right, so that's talking about like triggering. So like same thing with corridors, you change the water to a 10-degree cooler. Do you have any triggers for angelfish?
There's lots of different triggers. There's many times I've done things where I'm trying to get fish to spawn, and I think, oh, I did a big water change that was slightly cooler and they bred.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I switched the food and they bred. But as far as like having like an approach where I know like if I do these things in this order in this concession, are they going to breed? And the answer is no. I haven't figured out the definite way to be the puppet master to get them to breed.
Right.
Say I kept the temperature a little bit warmer, and let's just say I just started feeding them dry food and then switch the mineral content, make the water more acidic, right? And even switch the food source, even start to do frozen food.
Yeah.
And these things can combine on themselves sometimes to make the body switch to say, oh, it's the breeding season, it's time to breed now.
Yeah, even like a switch in temperature outside, barometer, all that. They can feel it.
Switching during the times where it's raining outside.
Yeah.
You know, summer here is actually the dry season.
Yep,
Like,
absolutely.
you know, where in Colombia, people say, oh, it's what's happening in Colombia. That's not true. It's what's happening here.
Yeah.
So summer's the dry season. So it's summer, I wanted to slack down and call that the dry season. And then let's just say I started making motion on fish in the fall when the rains start coming, like say like October, that's going to be more successful. Sometimes it could be the food too. I used to do a lot of live food, and I used to breed in the summer exclusively. And realized then, looking back now, it's like, oh, that's the time that I switched the food source. So they went from dry and frozen food, which is mostly like brine shrimp and mysis shrimp and dry food, to getting live insect larval food.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot. I think that's what my success was in the beginning.
All right, now we're moving from the other side to this side. Now these are different angelfish.
No.
Altum. No, they're still not.
These are Rio Negro, San Felipe angelfish.
Okay,
So this is the main group that I've been pulling the pairs from. And there's some of the F1 babies in there with them. So the story behind those F1 babies is sometimes I have fish that aren't growing so well, and I don't sell those. So the customers only get the best fish that I know they're going to grow into big fish really fast. So these are actually the fish that I saved. I didn't want to get rid of them. They look great. They looked okay. And some of them are growing. And you can see already that the bigger ones in there, probably, you know, maybe 5 inches, coming on 5 inches. They're really tall and really lanky. They've grown in really well. So I have different fish from different catch locations. So this fish was exported as Rio Orinoco. So Rio Orinoco, you know, it's one of the biggest rivers in the world. But these fish, they don't have quite as much red up on top. And I would consider these probably to be mid-latitude to more northern part of the range. And I have 2 pairs of them here. So this is the one pair. And if you move over here, I have a second pair here. These fish haven't spawned for me yet, but I've had them for over 2 years now. And they're, as you can see, they're, you know, 12 inches stretched
I know.
out. They're pretty big.
Hold on. Let me slowly... Look how big that is. It's so hard to convey how big these fish are on camera.
Exactly. People, you have to see them in person, and then you know.
Like, can you stand by that sponge filter real quick, sir?
There we go.
So these are Rio Orinoco.
That's right.
Right.
So are these right here.
Okay,
So I have
but
2 pairs of Orinoco.
it looks like the stripes aren't as prolific in contrast. And this also has like a black or more darker background. Actually, they're both kind of dark background, right?
A lot of you can see these fish are showing intermediate striping right now.
Okay.
So apart from there's like the three main bars, you can see the one that goes through the eye, and there's one that goes through the middle, and one goes through the back of the tallest fins there. And in between that, there are ghost bars. So those bars,
Ghost bars.
Yeah, so you can see these ghost bars are showing, like they're brown. So you're seeing an extra stripe.
Oh, yeah.
So those ghost bars, they show up or not according to the fish's mood and the fish's health. So I notice when fish are feeling a little bit weird, when they're feeling a little bit green, those ghost bars can become very, very pronounced. So even though the ghost bars look really, really cool, it's actually when they become so pronounced, it actually is a warning sign for me.
Okay.
Yeah, the best way of a healthy Altum angelfish is to look washed out.
Like this.
Like this. The fish that looks more washed out and it's not showing that much intermediate striping is actually a fish in full health.
That is so much knowledge.
Exactly.
Right there.
No, so when you see fish in the wild, or they just caught, or they're being held, and you see these amazing, like the intermediate chocolate brown bars and stuff like that, that's usually a sign that those fish are really stressed out right then and not feeling too well.
Okay. Wow, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And so are these fish stressed out?
No, they're not, but you can see these fish, like they're showing really vivid main bars.
Yeah, but the secondary bars,
showing a little bit.
Ghost bars.
The ghost bars, you can see them, but they're not super pronounced.
Okay, that makes so much sense.
When I see Altums in captivity that I've grown, like tank growed Altums, and let's just say they have like, it looks like they got double black bars because they're just so pronounced.
Okay.
That's usually right before they die.
Oh.
Yeah, they're feeling really green and they die. So. Yeah, unfortunately.
That is so cool to know. Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to the process of growth, spurts, and all of that.
Okay, let's talk about, well, we could start down with these fish here.
Okay.
Or are they gonna, there we go.
Yeah.
Look at that. They're like ants.
So I'm gonna punch in with the macro and show you what they really look like.
These fish are 10 days old.
10 days old.
So they were spawned 10 days ago. That means they weren't born until a week ago. And 1 week ago, they were just wiggling. They were a larva. So today is actually the first day that they fed. Once they start swimming and they start moving, and then we can feed them. So
they're on brine shrimp, right?
Yep, baby brine shrimp. They start to look like little angelfish within about 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
And within 6 weeks, they have full striping. Like these are not 6 weeks, but they start to look more. I wish I had more that were in between.
How old are these ones?
These are 4 months old right now. But you can see these are actually pretty big. Like all the body length of the fins is over 2 inches. You know, these are pretty decent size. So this is the size fish that I like to sell, which is like between 3 and 5 months old is what I call a small Altum. And when you buy these fish, they grow fast. We were talking about if you bought these fish and you know you cared for them, and within a month or two, those are 5 or 6 inches high.
Wow.
And within a year, they're like 8 to 10 inches high. And within a year and a half, they could even spawn, because the tank bred fish, they're so healthy and there's nothing holding them back as long as they get the proper care and the right food, and they just grow really, really big, and they should even spawn. They should spawn pretty easy.
I hope you start this big movement of, you know, having Altums everywhere.
You know what? People don't know about them. That's the problem. The problem is people got them and they died, or you heard that they died. They have that reputation and nobody succeeded with them. So people having tanks with Altums are few and far between. And when you see them, you notice they're never that big. Like you never see them like these
I've never
ones
seen
here.
Fish that big.
Yeah, exactly. So even like you see the wilds where people got them to survive, they're like half the size that they should be.
Yeah.
You know, so when you go and you buy F1s or the tank bred Altums like this, you bypass all the issues, and you're getting a fish that's pretty much just it's a weekly service fish. Change the water, and I give dry food. At this stage of the game, they're just eating discus food, and boom, no problem at all.
That's what I was about to say. This is kind of like discus maybe 15 years ago or so, when everyone was scared to raise them, but now they're a lot easier. Even the wild ones are easy because they're captive bred, obviously. Now they're easier, so you're going to make them take them the same route.
It's exactly the same route. Actually, the people that take care of the people that are good at taking care of discus, they buy my fish and they're very successful with them. They even keep them. The Altum angelfish, they like warm water, So
These are 82, right?
Yeah,
82
I keep mine at 82 degrees, you know, but 90 degrees is no problem. So people keeping domestic discus, you know, and they got the temperature 84, 85, 86, and those guys, they give a ton of food and they change the water a ton.
Yeah.
These fish, they thrive in that environment. So they, even like the way the discus guys, they like to throw meds all the time at them. No problem. These fish, they handle that. Yeah. If you can change the water once a week and give food a couple times a day, then you can have Altum Angelfish.
Let's say a customer buys from you 4-month-old angelfish. What do you do when you get them? Do you do a plop and drop?
Plop and drop.
Plop and drop, because they're that hardy now.
That's right. I actually have instructions in the box.
Okay.
So the fish come in double 4 mil bags, and my recommendation approach is to float 15 or 20 minutes, cut the bag open, and I don't like to pour fish through a net.
Yeah.
You know, because these fish, the fins are fragile.
Fins
they can
really
break
fragile,
and stuff like that. So I just kind of reach in there and I take them out and just, throw them.
Make sure
in
to wash
there.
hands. What are you feeding them currently right now?
Right now I'm feeding a granular discus food. They'll eat flakes, they'll eat pellets. I'm feeding like a granular discus food, but they could pretty much adapt to any food. If I do feed them frozen food, they like spirulina brine shrimp. They like mysis shrimp. I tend to avoid freshwater grown frozen and live food. I think that could be potentially pathogenic. So I just don't even risk that with them. In Altum Angel tank, I believe the best setups are 30 inches high, 6 feet long, and 18 to 24 inches front to back. So I think like this tank for me is the perfect size for a dozen Altum Angelfish. So this tank is about 200 gallons. In this tank, so when we put 12 fish in there, even though they might be very, very small, within a year, those are going to be 8 to 10 inch fish, and within a couple years, they will be 12 inch fish.
Yeah, and you guys will definitely get to see that, the process of them growing up, because it's so fast compared to a lot of fish you do have inside your fish room.
Absolutely.
Like the rainbows and everything, so we're going to get to that. Let's do, for a quick few minutes, show us your little projects.
Okay, I do have little projects here, and sometimes I like to have the plecos before, because I hit some trouble in the past before with the Altums, and I know that I needed some type of backup plan. So I know every tank needs bristlenose plecos, so I got super red long fins, I got snow white long fins here, and I even started to get some rainbow fish. You can see, you know, I got tons of them. I can make tons of them very, very easily.
You said those Boesemani that you took from the outside tank earlier.
There they are
Put
here.
them there, and they made these.
I got thousands of babies of those, and so it's so easy.
How old are these?
These ones right here are probably 3 or 4 weeks old now.
They grow so slow.
They do. If you want to see, I got more over here.
Let's go check it out. So these are more Boesemani.
Yep. Those are,
look how many.
I think they're the coolest one. They're the Avis Creek. But me, like, starting to breed a few of these things, you can see I have some of the black Venezuelan cories here. So I'm going to start to breed these things, and I'm going to try to start to move them. And I'm going to see how that shoe fits on me. And you have Arus right here that you're breeding as well. So yeah, those are pseudo McGills. Yeah. And oh, here's the Ivanacara bimaculatus.
Oh, yeah, the parents are out.
Super, super rare fish here. Let me see if I can get a better light on.
They're gonna run. There they go. Now that we've done this, let's go take a look at the bad boys out there in those tanks.
All right, let's go.
Okay, would you say these are your display tanks?
Well,
I would say so, because they're so giant.
I would say so. This bottom one, I would say it's a display because it has such a nice piece of driftwood in there. But at the same time, you could see, you know, it's being blocked off by the base of another tank. None of these tanks were intended to be display tanks. All the tanks in this hub were designed to be working tanks. So as far as long as the fish feel comfortable, then that's good enough for me. I didn't really care. It's like, oh, how I glued the wood down. It's going to show some silicone. I didn't really think about it.
You didn't expect me to come here and film in front of this tank and have you sit on the floor like that?
Now, like, people are coming in and wanting to film. I kind of wish I'd done it a little differently. But I'm okay with that. So what I tell people anytime when they look at my stuff, I say, ignore everything. Just look at the fish.
Yeah, just look at the fish.
Just look at the fish.
This is what you're here for, right?
The fish are what it's all about. This is a group of 13 Rio Ventuari Altum Angelfish. So
they're not the regular ones you have.
No.
These are beautiful.
They're amazing, and some of them are big. Some of those are big.
That's how big they are.
this group is so personal, it lives with us. This isn't our living room. This is where we eat, right? So every time we come in, they're watching us.
You make all these tanks yourself?
Yes.
This is wild, right? Because this is my favorite tank because it's carbon fiber right here. And I'm a car guy, so it's like, well.
Yeah, yeah, it's carbon fiber, and it really is for structure.
Yeah.
It's not for bling. The tank is big. You know, it's 350 gallons.
Yeah.
And it's 30 inches high and 8 foot long. And that's just 3/4 inch plywood, but it's not braced at all. So you can see that carbon fiber just really stiffens it up.
Yeah. Like this is a tank. Like this is so solid.
This is a 350 gallon home built tank. It's got 6 Rio Vichada Altum Angelfish. Well, Rio Vichada is a mid-level Orinoco tributary on the Columbia side. And from what I hear is that the fish here were collected actually from a lake that overflows from the river.
Okay.
And these fish are known for their red spot. Sometimes they're called red spot Altums. And if you look at their forehead, like the spotting on it has very like round red spots, like more definitive than the other fish, which sort of like have red sheens and stuff like that. And I think when they were younger, it was more prominent. So now when it's become bigger, the spots didn't get larger. They're very, very rarely imported. They were discovered, that population I believe was discovered in 2019, but the fish that we're getting are very strong fish. And there's some different reasons for that. Some people think that because these fish came from a lake, that maybe the water wasn't so acidic, so they adapt better for our tank. But also I think there's a whole different level of collectors that go to different places. So I think when I look back at all the wilds that I've tried to save, that I have saved or not saved, the best fish have been the fish that are coming from a rare collection point.
Okay.
I think maybe they get handled differently, maybe collected and handled differently possibly. But these are known to be bulletproof Altums. So when I tend to notice they need about 4 feet of space. So when you think like people think, oh, the Altums are just going to spawn in your tank with all those other fish in there, and usually that's not the case. And if they do, that's when you're going to see the real aggression. They can hurt your fish. They come out, they turn sideways, and they're like, pop.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're mean and they're fast.
Now that was my next question. Can you put any fish with these Altums?
You can. You can. Anything small, like a cardinal or a rummy nose, is eventually going to get eaten.
Okay.
Because those are the natural prey for these fish in the wild. So, but maybe like high body tetras, maybe like bleeding heart tetras or something like that would be fine. If you're going to put fish with your Altums, I would definitely have a cleaning and quarantining system for them first. But you can see a lot of my wild Altums, I don't keep any other fish with them. A lot of that has to do for me with biosecurity as well. I consider them the holy grail holy grail of freshwater fish, hands down, and you don't see them very often. I think when you look at just how they look, that says it all, but also when you have healthy Altums and you learn how they behave and how they interact and just how cool they are and personal, they get to know who you are.
Right.
And so it's definitely not a fish where, okay, we create this amazing environment and we have the fish in there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how some tanks are like a whole system where the fish is a part of the aquascape. And Altums, for me, it's all about the fish.
All right, so we're back here. It's been 2 months since we last shot here.
Correct.
Around about something like that. His fish room has changed completely. He didn't have all this before. This wasn't here before. That. So he's expanding his fish room to do a lot of cool stuff. And now that he's back on YouTube and uploading at a consistent basis, I wish you so much luck because this is awesome. I think you have so much to teach people about what goes on to his little space. It's just like Dean, like I told you. Like he does so much with so little, and like the proficiency of all this, all your spawn mops, all the plecos that are in here. Like you can see that one right there. Everywhere is fish.
Yep.
But before we left this place, we sent him some Vitalis to try for his angelfish to see if they eat it or not. We were very curious to see if they do, and we have some results. So let's talk to Thomas and see how it went down.
They're a little bit scared of the light and stuff like that. I really like the Vitalis flakes, and the fish seem to take to them very, very well. Let's see if they might be scared, but I think the little ones are going to pop up and eat that.
So how long have you been feeding this exactly?
Maybe about a couple weeks now.
Did they take it in at first, or?
Almost right away.
Almost right away? Okay.
Yeah.
But you told me you have problems feeding the pellet. Let's be honest with the people. Tell them your results and everything like that.
The result with the pellet, it was harder to get them to eat the pellet. And I think it was just in my fish because my fish are used to eating a different texture of pellet.
Right.
And that's the only difference. But if I were to cut my other pellet out entirely, I'm very, very sure that they would have eaten it too. So you can see they're going for it.
They're definitely going for it, even the bigger pieces too.
Yep. And they're scared right now because we just rushed them.
It's 9 o'clock at night. You just turned on the lights.
They went to sleep
like 2 hours
and
ago.
the story is we just woke them up and I jumped them on the lights. This isn't normally how they behave. Normally they would just be jumping out and spazzing out on the food, but this is all we could hope to get right now.
Yeah. All right, if you like that eating procedure, you got to go to his channel. Eventually he'll release it, but he just showed me how he feeds these other fish. What are the fish called?
They are called pike characins.
Pike characins. The way he showed me how he feeds those fish, we couldn't show on this channel, but make sure you go to his channel. Hopefully he'll have it one day.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
I'm going to do a whole documentary on those.
Oh my gosh, they're so cool.
Amazing.
We can't show you here. You'll see why. You'll see why. Just go over to Shoreline Aquatics on YouTube and you'll check it out.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You guys can find me at www.shoreline-aquatics.com. I have the best quality tank bred Altum Angelfish, and I'm going to try to keep them in stock.